from the station working for you. This is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
If you plan on taking a stroll along Mass Ave or anywhere in central Indiana in the morning, be prepared to bundle up. Good evening, I'm Amanda Starrentino. We start tonight with WRTV Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory with a freeze warning. Kevin.
I'm warming my hands, Amanda.
I didn't see what you were doing at first. Like, what is happening?
Yeah. To staying warm here in the Avon basement, our remote studio. I show you the sunset just to point out that skies have been clearing, and that is one key ingredient to our cold night ahead. Temperatures poised to drop into the 30s, and look who's leading the way. Indianapolis at 42 right now, 43 in Kokomo. We'll all be united in the 30s. Our coldest hours will be between 7 and 9 a.m. Then we'll turn temperatures the other way, but with light winds overnight, nearly the entire state will see freeze conditions. 30 in Logansport in the morning, 31 in Lafayette and Marion. Temperatures from Rockville over to Richmond, lower 30s, including Indianapolis, and to the south. Right at that 32-degree mark, we'll have lows later in the 7-day forecast in the 50s and a few opportunities for rain. I'll show you all of them coming up.
There are no plans to ease COVID restrictions in Marion County anytime soon. In a briefing today, the county's public health director said with cases rising, she hopes tighter restrictions are not required. And as we get closer to Halloween, county and city leaders are again discouraging traditional trick-or-treating. The Marion County Health Department first released its guidance earlier this month. Trick-or-treating, trunk-or-treating, or even leaving bowls of candy out for kids to grab are not recommended. Haunted houses or any event with people who are not in your household are also not recommended. And a reminder, in-person social gatherings of more than 50 people are not permitted under the current public health order in Marion County.
I know that missing out on trick-or-treating and Halloween get-togethers is just another disappointment in a year full of disappointments. But please keep this in mind. These are precautions that you can take to protect your health, the health of your family, and the health of your neighbors, and ultimately the overall health and well-being of our community. And I would suggest that that is worth more than a party or a bag of candy.
Because the Marion County Health Department is discouraging trick-or-treating, there will not be set hours for those participating in safe activities. Also during today's update, Health Department Director Dr. Virginia Kane credited colleges with keeping people between 18 and 24 years old safe from the spread of COVID-19. WRTV's Cameron Riddle caught up with some students who say their peers are on board with safety measures.
The news from Dr. Virginia Kane that COVID cases are trending downward with college-aged Marion County residents is not a surprise to some students at IUPUI. They say students and staff have been putting in the effort to keep COVID away.
Our campus also does mitigation testing, so we all get randomly, so if we get selected, we get tested. We also have contact tracing in the classroom.
Numbers from the Marion County Health Department show a rise in COVID cases at the start of the school year in August. But those numbers dropped after calls for college students to take the pandemic seriously. Tyler Clark says he and his classmates heard that call loud and clear.
Yeah, I think we all enjoy learning in person. So I think we all took it as an initiative to come back to campus. We all enjoy being with each other. Being online was a culture shock for a lot of us. So I think we all took the necessary steps to come back to campus.
One of those steps is wearing face masks. Maggie Nuetti says faculty and students at IUPUI, at least, are following the doctor's orders.
In fact, today in class, a student took off her mask for like 5 seconds to take a drink of water, and the professor immediately got on it and said, don't forget, keep your mask on.
If you ask Maddie Broyles, the new rules of the pandemic, which may seem like a hassle, are actually useful.
Really like how they're doing like the seating. Everybody stays at like those assigned seats, every single class, and they also use that to track everybody just in case someone does have contact anybody that has COVID-19.
Cameron Riddle, WRTV.
And despite the decreases among college-aged residents, people between 20 and 39 years old make up 45% of Marion County's COVID-19 cases. And there are now 3,632 confirmed COVID-19 deaths in Indiana, according to the State Department of Health. 1,962 new positive cases were reported between Sunday and yesterday. The latest 7-day positivity rate among unique individuals is 9.9%. And the number of hospitalizations continues to climb. As of yesterday, there were 1,355 COVID patients across Indiana. Top state health officials say Governor Eric Holcomb can resume his normal schedule with vigilant masking and social distancing. That's according to the governor's office. The advisement comes after Holcomb tested negative for COVID-19. The governor's office says he took a test out of an abundance of caution after Dr. Christina Box, the state health commissioner, tested positive for the virus. She is quarantining for 14 days.
What are the repercussions of all of this?
At the end of the day, we're going to get back into the 2008 housing debacle. I mean, it was tough.
There are growing fears of a potential housing crisis as countless people are unable to pay their rent or mortgage as the pandemic continues. The issue is not just impacting renters and homeowners, it's also crushing many property managers and landlords. RE/MAX Realty Services manages about 50 properties for homeowners. Owner Chris Schuloff says since the CDC issued a national moratorium on evictions last month, some tenants have just stopped paying rent. Schuloff says he's compassionate with renters and works with them, but the situation is also hurting homeowners and property owners.
Keep coming to us saying you've got to get that rent collected, and we're going back to them saying because of the moratorium our hands are tied. We do have one tenant that has not lost their job but took advantage of the system or has taken advantage of the system and stopped paying in February.
There are some loopholes in the CDC moratorium, but the Indiana Apartment Association is calling on the government to take more action, possibly by offering loans to landlords. If there is no relief, they fear landlords will be forced to foreclose on their properties. If you need help paying rent, help is available. This week, the state reopened its rental assistance portal. It's for everyone in Indiana except in Marion County. There's $15 million in the program, and right now there is no deadline to apply. For more info, go to indianahousingnow.org. If you live in Marion County, there's a separate program, indyrent.org. The number of first-time unemployment claims in Indiana nearly tripled in 1 week, according to the latest filings. More than 28,000 people filed first-time claims last week. The previous week's total was just over 10,000. According to the State Department of Workforce Development, the large jump is likely because of a requirement that claimants refile initial claims to continue on federal benefit programs. And if you're looking for seasonal work, the Postal Service is hiring Hoosiers. A drive-through job fair will be held Saturday from 10 to noon at the post office on West South Street in downtown Indianapolis. Available positions include automotive technicians, city carrier assistants, rural carrier associates, and mail processing clerks. And Macy's is holding a national hiring event 1 week from today. The company says it's hiring more than 380 seasonal employees in Indiana this holiday season. As a safety precaution, Macy's says it will conduct all interviews for in-store opportunities by phone. You are encouraged to apply online. President Trump and Democratic challenger Joe Biden each answered questions from voters tonight on separate stages. Viewers at home had to keep up by flipping channels. ABC's Andrew Dimbert shows what you might have missed.
They were supposed to share the debate stage. Instead, they're competing for audiences. In an election first, President Trump and opponent Joe Biden holding dueling town halls tonight in lieu of their second debate as originally planned. Trump holding his hall in Miami, Biden from Philadelphia, both fielding questions directly from voters.
What is your plan for either extending the tax cuts for the middle class or creating a new plan that further reduces those taxes?
When I said the Trump tax cuts, about $1.3 trillion of the $2 trillion in his tax cuts went to the top 1/10 of 1%. That's what I'm talking about eliminating.
Has your opinion changed on the importance of mask wearing?
No, because I was okay with the masks. I was good with it, but I've heard many different stories on masks.
The shift in stages comes after the president previously tested positive for COVID-19 and refused to debate virtually. But even now, Trump's still not providing much clarity on the timeline of his diagnosis.
Did you take a test, though, on the day of the debate?
You know, if you ask the doctor, they'll give you a perfect answer.
Yeah.
But they take a test, and I leave, and I go about my business.
Did you take a...
Coronavirus could be a driving factor in the race for the White House. Joe Biden trying to differentiate his plan from the Trump administration on tackling the outbreak.
You make sure there's testing. That's a really critical piece that he didn't do, testing and tracing. And you make sure that people are equipped.
While President Trump touts his administration's response to the pandemic, which has claimed the lives of more than 217,000 Americans.
We have done an amazing job, and it's rounding the corner, and we have the vaccines coming.
And with weekly unemployment filings tallying record highs for much of 2020 due to the virus, economic recovery is on the minds of millions.
You're going to raise the corporate tax, you're going to raise taxes on the wealthy. Is it wise to do even that when the economy is as weak as it is right now? Another 900.
We're going to have a phenomenal. And I'll tell you, Savannah, we had the greatest economy in the history of our country.
Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, Washington.
I guess when you first get married, you don't think there'll ever be these kinds of things that you have to work through together.
A Central Indiana couple opens up to WRTV about the stress and challenges of living with Alzheimer's. Next, how they're getting through it and how you can too. During the pandemic, when social distancing is especially top of mind for older Hoosiers, one organization is making sure families are staying connected to resources that can help them through a tough diagnosis. Indiana is home to 110,000 Hoosiers living with Alzheimer's disease and 342,000 unpaid caregivers. I spoke with a Fisher's family living with the disease and learned how the Alzheimer's Association has helped them and others in a similar situation.
I want the zebras.
Oh, you always go for the zebras.
Piecing together the life they have shared. After 50 years of marriage, you learn a thing or two.
Magic words, yes, dear.
Now Marcia and Terry Howell are putting together an entirely new puzzle presented to them.
I guess when you first get married, you don't think there'll ever be these kinds of things that you have to work through together. And so you don't anticipate that you need to be such a strong partner.
Shortly after retiring 5 years ago, Marcia noticed something different about her husband.
I started recognizing the changes in the cognition. But everybody just kept telling me, you know, it's the normal aging, and I kept saying, I don't think it is.
With no family history, Terry was diagnosed with Lewy body dementia.
There are times when if I were her, I probably wouldn't be very happy because she never belittles, she never lets me know that she must be frustrated.
While Marcia has remained positive, the process is not easy.
There have been some times that I've had just total meltdowns. And it's those times that I have really needed the assistance of somebody else to talk to and just to say, you know, help me through this.
The extra hand she needed came from a call to the Alzheimer's Association Greater Indiana chapter.
They will help you the way no one else does. He started doing the hallucinations and things like that, and it was to a point where that just was beyond anything I had ever dealt with. And so when I reached out for help, all of a sudden it was like, I'm not alone.
For Marcia, it broke down barriers she was dealing with, and it opened resources to help her and Terry cope and move forward together.
The earlier that we can get a diagnosis of any type of dementia, be it Alzheimer's, be it Lewy body, whatever it is, I can't say better the prognosis because we don't have a cure for these diseases yet, but the better quality of life and the more involved the individual with the diagnosis can be in planning that quality of life.
The organization offers resources for Indiana families navigating the early stages of Alzheimer's and dementia.
Trying to figure out when the behavior is, and is this my normally, or is this something else I need to pay more attention to? So more on the unknown.
For Terry, it gives him a community of people that understand what he is going through, and Marcia can connect with caregivers who are also partners.
It's an abundance of resources available to help Hoosier families on what is a difficult journey to not walk it alone.
You can make it what you want it to be. And if you want to make it contentious and you want to make it something that everybody is fearful of or is afraid of, you can do that. But it's so much better to celebrate it. You know, celebrate what they're becoming now and go through it as a family together.
Memory loss that disrupts daily life may be a symptom of Alzheimer's or other dementia. Some of the main warning signs and symptoms to keep an eye out for include challenges in planning or solving problems, difficulty completing familiar tasks, confusion with time or place, new problems with words and speaking or writing, withdrawal from work or social activities, and changes in mood and personality. The Alzheimer's Association Greater Indiana chapter is offering a free virtual resource fair tomorrow from noon to 4:30. You can learn more at WRTV.com. Kevin.
All you need to do is step outside and you know that it's been a big change over the last 24 hours. The freeze warning's getting a lot of attention and we'll get back to that, but I just want to point out we will start to recover over the weekend. Windy and mild with temperatures at 64 Saturday. The chance for rain returns Sunday. It looks a little more likely later in the day. Look over Iowa Sunday morning. See that? Some snow. For us, our morning low temperatures on Sunday will be in the upper 40s, set the stage then for rain showers later in the day. Beyond the 7-day forecast, this is the 23rd through the 29th, indications are above average precipitation. So maybe we've got a crack in our dry pattern here where we can finally get a consistent chance at showers across central Indiana. As far as the rainfall, it doesn't look excessive, but if we could get a ½ an inch to 3/4 of an inch, that'd be beautiful. We'll take it. We had just under 2/10 of an inch today. Back to the cold temperatures. Tomorrow morning, the record is 26. That was originally set in 1876 and then tied in 1991. Should not be that cold, going for about 33 in the metro area, otherwise 30 to 32 in outlying areas. 52 by noon. We'll make our recovery. If you do cover anything, don't forget to uncover any sensitive plants so you don't burn them up on the reverse side as we warm up tomorrow to 58. Nice recovery. Temperatures are pretty elastic this time of year. They stretch out from morning low to afternoon high. That comes with a mixture of clouds and sunshine. A nice night for Friday night football. A little cool, but that's what you expect as we continue to move into and through October. If your dog, like Rory Gregory, likes to chase leaves, the leaves will be on the move Saturday as our wind will gust out of the south 20 to 30 miles per hour. That's part of the warm-up. Temperatures back into the low to mid 60s. That's across all of central Indiana. And early next week, 58, the chance of rain on Monday. Still a chance of rain and up to 69 as we get to Tuesday. We should hit that 70-degree mark midweek next week. And that's not the warmest temperature in the forecast. That will come a week from today when we make it to 73 degrees. No surprise tomorrow morning. We've talked about it. The cold temperatures greet you first thing in the morning. Saturday's still cool, but then much warmer for lows after that. Amanda?
Thank you, Kevin. I'll have my jacket ready to go tomorrow. A program to help families get through the pandemic by assisting with e-learning and child care is getting more funding. An additional $88,000 will go towards community learning centers created by the organization The Mind Trust. The money will allow 3 sites to continue serving students through December 17th. The centers are a safe, free option for students who may not have reliable internet access at home or whose parents may not be able to stay home during school hours. Next, WRTV goes to new heights to show you how a group of pilots are using their craft to give back to the community. Seven-time NASCAR champion Jimmie Johnson is taking another step toward his 2021 IndyCar Series debut. Today, Johnson sent a tweet about dialing in my new office. A closer look at the photos show Johnson going through a seat fitting with the Chip Ganassi Racing Team. IndyCar is scheduled to test at Barber Motorsports Park in Alabama on November 2nd. Johnson should be among several drivers turning laps that day. He also has 4 races left on the season's NASCAR schedule. Classic cars on the road often turn heads. The same goes for an even rarer sight. classic planes in the sky. You may have seen these aircrafts flying high over central Indiana. Our Brad Brown takes us in flight with the pilots who say these planes are all about fun and philanthropy.
The machines are classic pieces of aviation history, meticulously restored and looking just as good as their first takeoff.
We call them sport biplanes. They're made for aerobatics. They do about 150 miles an hour, give or take, covered in fabric. They have wooden wings.
The men that fly these planes, they're all a little bit classic as well.
I soloed an aircraft before I was driving a car alone.
I flew spray planes for a long time, for 22 years, crop dusting.
Got my first job at an airline in 1978 and spent 40 years flying commercial airliners around the world.
These pilots are part of the Indy Biplanes Club, flying out of Metro Airport. Far more than just a hobby, these guys are taking their passion for flight and paying it forward.
We started getting these feel-good stories from people on the Facebook site saying, you know, you flew over and it made my day, that kind of stuff, which surprised us because we're just out having fun. So we kind of started making that our mission.
Today's mission, a 5-plane formation flying over the Ironwood Golf Club, a fundraiser outing for NeuroHope, an organization that provides extended rehab for people with spinal cord injuries.
We said, look, this is the only fundraiser we're doing this year. We want to be safe, we want to be socially distant, but we can still do a golf outing in a safe way. And when you add elements like a flyover and those pilots, it's like that extra little bonus point to an event.
Now let's say you're given an invitation to fly along with this crew, sitting in on the pre-flight briefing and eventually climbing into the front seat for an exhilarating experience high in the sky over central Indiana.
They'll just do a little bit more than your average Cessna or your average Piper. They roll a little bit faster. They're a little bit more tricky to land and take off, but that's part of the challenge.
I had Monty manning the controls behind me. From more than 3,000 feet in the air, an up-close look at the amazing precision that these pilots possess to put those formation flights together.
We are upping our game continuously because pilots are always looking for a challenge. That's the reason we get in. One of the reasons we get into it is because you can never be the best. You can only be your best.
It's nothing but fun. Yeah, particularly for me, after spending 40 years of going straight and level and trying to keep people from being upset, that I get to twist and turn in this thing now is a big benefit to me.
The biplanes took part in some Hope flights earlier this year, dedicated to first responders and healthcare workers during the pandemic.
It was just so tough for everybody, being stuck at home, nothing to do, they can't go out. And we got the idea, we're like, you know, we can be people's entertainment and bring it to them.
A chance to spread a little love from high above during difficult times.
Both of my parents were very civic-minded and presented a very good model for my brother and sister and I that community service was important. So for me, being retired now, this is my first opportunity to give back.
Working for you in Fishers, Brad Brown, WRTV.
Rise and shine. There'll be sunshine in the morning and cold temperatures as well. A frosty start in many spots. Temperature by noon around 50, 57 or 58 that afternoon high temperature. Amanda?
Thanks, Kevin, and thank you for making WRTV your choice for news. Good night.